Everyone, nice to see everyone here. I'm Vaibhav Chhabra. I'm a mechanical engineer. Been running Makers Asylum now for about 8 years. My designation here is a Chief Learning Officer and founder. Personal background, after I finished my mechanical engineering, I was working for a startup making eye diagnostic devices at MIT Media Labs in Boston. It was sort of like a virtual reality-based eye diagnostic device, and then moved to Mumbai with the same team, and then started Makers Asylum as a passion project to be able to create a space for people like all of us to share tools and make things. And over the 8 years, we've been building a beautiful community of artists, engineers, doctors, makers from across the country to come together and be able to make things. SDG School is one of the programs that's very, very close to our hearts because it was the first program that we started about 5 years back. And since then, it's been becoming very, very exciting and interesting. And Richa will talk a little bit more about that to give you guys insight as to how this program works and what the story of the program is. And I'll be happy to chime in and answer any questions. I'm also, as part of the program, I do all the design thinking parts of the program. So if you're part of the program, then we'll be working very closely together to be able to really break down problems and to understand how to look at them, work with them, and to be able to come up with exciting ways and exercises to sort of break them down. Well, back to you, Richa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. And with that, I think I'm just going to share my screen once again to take everyone through some of the slides that I have. Are you able to see my screen? Would you give me a thumbs up if you are able to? Okay, great. So just from the context setting of Makers Asylum, so we are a community maker space. By that, I mean, we have a lot of equipment and tools at our space which are open for people to come and access. So I'll show you a little bit more in the other slides as to how the space looks like, what we do. And like Vaibhav said, we've been sort of building a culture for making and creating things and solutions over the last couple of years now. So anywhere from teenagers to retired individuals, we have a various different kinds of folks that come and use the space for their projects, for their startups. Over the years, we've sort of become a center for innovation of sorts where a lot of different kinds of crazy ideas have come to life. And we've been trying to really, that's the reason why I think it's also called the Asylum, because a lot of really exciting and crazy things also come out of it, which are very beautiful in the way that they solve community level issues. We've been really advocating things around alternative learning, and how do you sort of use hands-on education to go from, just ideation to creation. And that's pretty much has been our larger journey over the last couple of years, where we've been focusing on that piece of education from the, perspective of making. So over 30 startups have come out of our space. We have trained over 100,000 people in the areas of digital fabrication, design, hardware, programming and sustainability. And our vision is obviously we've been working in the areas of hardware design and sustainability, and everything that we do is at the intersection of that. So while the space is one piece of Makers Asylum, we do a lot of things around education via our foundation as well, where we work with, in the impact sectors as well across board. We also do a lot of product innovation work with different brands. We also do a lot of product innovation work at our space. Recently, we also started doing a lot of work around the healthcare product innovation as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But we do various levels of programming across board, from community level workshops to larger programs like the SDG School that we've been focusing on for the last couple of years. And our skill set sort of lies in bringing together multidisciplinary groups of people from across board to look at problem solving via the lens of design thinking, frugal innovation, and rapid prototyping. So how do you break a problem statement? How do you sort of think about it frugally in terms of solutions, using concepts of jugaad avant-garde, frugal innovation, and also how do you use tools that are available to you, like digital or physical tools, to actually go from ideation to creation. So that's pretty much how where our skill set lies. And this is how the space looks like. We have a wood shop, we have a metal shop, where a lot of really beautiful artists, designers, engineers come together to do various things. We have a laser cutting lab where this is, again, a very versatile tool. A lot of really amazing architects, designers use this as well. 3D printers, electronics, all kinds of stuff that you can see. And all of this sort of started when the ceiling of Vaibhav's office fell down back in 2013 and broke all the furniture in his office when he was back in India. And that's how he called in for a DIY meetup to, because at that time he'd actually just moved from the United States and he was looking for people to do things together, and making furniture was something that he called people for. And 6 people showed up for the first DIY meetup in 2013 in Bombay in a little garage over pizzas and beers. And that's how the whole story of Makers Asylum sort of unfolded over the last couple of years now. So we've been working and doing various things, and so now we've been working on sort of providing a unique hybrid platform for people to come together and make things. So we do a lot of online digital interventions and also physical interventions in the way that we run our programs and things like that as well. And we recently also moved last year to from Mumbai. We were in Mumbai for about 7-8 years, and last year we decided to move to Goa. So we are in this beautiful little space in Goa, in this beautiful village called Moira now. So that's where I'm joining in from. Recently, we were also hit by the cyclone. So we have a different Goa story now, I guess, but maybe for a later time for all of you to sort of take a look at. But just to give you a little bit more into what we've been up to. So last year when India went to a lockdown, we started something called the M19 initiative, which again sort of uses the principles of interdisciplinarity, design thinking, and all of that we teach as part of the SDG School and other programs that we do, and actually implement it in real life to help the frontline workers with the M19 initiative. The idea was to sort of, Vaibhav, me, and one of our teammates, Naren, when everything went into a lockdown, we decided to quarantine ourselves at our space, because we thought that it'll be more useful to be next to our tools so that we could do something exciting. So we started the whole initiative with the thought of making about 1,000 face shields for healthcare workers and supporting them in some ways, because we had access to laser cutting machine and things like that. But soon we realized that 1,000 in India as a face shields number is not going to be enough ever, because we are a population of 1.3 billion people. And so we slowly sort of started working on these designs. We went through 21 design iterations of this face shield, starting from a paper prototype, which was how you sort of put a Jugaad prototype together, to actually going into injection molding after 21 design iterations via the process of design thinking, actually implementing in real life. And we're getting user feedback from doctors. And remember, at the time, nobody was making these, right? Back in 2020, PPEs were not manufactured in India. We were actually the first ones in India to make it. And started with the thought of, like I said, 1,000 shields. And in 49 days, we were able to make 1 million of them, because we were able to activate 42 cities and towns and villages in India through open sourcing our designs. So all of this that we started sort of building and creating, we open source the design so that other people can take those designs and use machines and support their local ecosystems. So there was an interdisciplinary group of folks, just like us over here, who are from different kinds of background, who got together to make this solution happen. So anywhere from filmmakers, photographers, healthcare workers, makers, all kinds of folks who were part of the group that came together to really solve the problem in a very frugal and agile way, because in 49 days, we were able to make 1 million of these, which is not even heard of, using centralized manufacturing and things like that. There were 300 volunteers across India. We were using a lot of digital tools in the whole process to actually share information, and activating many more spaces who could actually do that. This went on to become a case study at the University of Cambridge, at the Open Source Medical mechanical supplies in the United States, a very large case study where the maker response to COVID-19 was captured. And while a lot of other makers were doing the same thing across different parts of the world, these kind of numbers in terms of the sheer volume of what we could do was not something that was seen. So it sort of went on to become that. We also went on to do a bunch of different kinds of products, so different use cases of the face shields. This one on the left that you see was a use case around behavioral psychology for teenagers, because superhero face shields could be something that they could wear and feel nice about it, because teenagers, were have been very depressed and also not sort of been going through a very tough time. So we thought that this could really add a little bit more color to their, protection, and they could also enjoy wearing them. We also did these for the babies and the infants, because WHO recommends that you don't wear masks up to 3 years of age. And a lot of mothers actually across 300 cities in India have now bought these from us and have been using it. And this is all handmade, and we designed this to sort of do this for the infants. We also went on to make a lot of things around high-risk environments. So this is an active respirator that we designed last year, which was for high-risk environments for ICU setups where frontline workers could use this. This is a reusable PPE and sustainable PPE. This was something that we made, the rebreather for senior citizens last year. So we did a lot of product innovation, and all of this was only possible because of the interdisciplinary approach to problem solving that we had. We had so many people that we were working with to get feedback, to sort of work around cost, price, design. And now since the last 3 weeks, we've also been working on open source oxygen concentrators for the oxygen problem in India. And we've actually hit some really great results in the last couple of weeks, where we've activated over 150 labs in 17 states of India. We've also gotten some great results on this, on our prototypes, which is about 95% oxygen concentration at 15 liters per minute, which means to say that it can also be used in critical caregiving environments and offload hospitals from the need of oxygen cylinders and things like that. So there's a large project that we're working on, which is in association with a lot of different kind of folks who've come on board, and that's what we're doing currently. But just to give you context, why I'm giving you context of this is because it's exactly the same principles of the SDG School that we've been doing in real life. And anyone who's going to be part of this program can literally, solve all kinds of problems, because if you can sort of break down these problem statements into specific things that you can execute, I'm 100% confident that all of us can do these things together across different countries, because at the moment, as well as we speak, even for the oxygen problem, etc., we are in touch with different kinds of folks, like, for example, healthcare workers. We're in touch with designers, we're in touch with fabricators, we're in touch with healthcare professionals, we are in touch with researchers from Cambridge, from MIT, from Stanford. So it's always going to be an interdisciplinary group of people that can solve these problems with the agility that we need. And SDG School is sort of a representation of all the real life work that we are also doing, but in a format that you can all learn and also implement it for projects that are of real value from the perspective of sustainability and things like that. So hence the program is everything that we do, and that's why I wanted to sort of give some context about what we are up to. But just to give you context about the program, so we started this program in 2015, and that was the year when the leaders of the world came together to, define a better world by 2030, and they put down goals that could have the power to fight inequality, poverty, and many more things, right? And right now, as you see, like, while pandemic is one piece of this entire puzzle of of everything, the world is actually facing a very unique convergence of environmental, economical, and social crisis. And obviously, there's a really big urgency to address this. So while these goals were laid down, there is still a deficit of about $2.5 trillion every year to realize the SDGs by 2030, which is quite a large number. And hence the program was sort of designed so that we could think about solutions that we could frugally implement across communities and create impact on the ground level, and also take ownership on an individual level to solve for these SDGs. So while these are large goals, The SDG School is sort of designed in a manner so that you can break down these large goals into individual level, community level problem statements and work towards them. So the program is a 2-week long experiential program. And while we used to do this physically before the pandemic, we've been doing this also virtually now for the last year. And we've hosted this almost about 3 times now in the last year via different other variations of it. And it's a 2-week long program that brings together interdisciplinary groups of people and age agnostic groups of people from across board to work on the SDGs. And now it was designed in a manner that we do not, so interdisciplinary groups, that I mean is that all kinds of educational backgrounds are open to come and participate, and anyone above 16 years of age can also come and participate. We don't have an upper limit because we feel that different age levels can add different perspective to a common problem, and we feel that diversity on that level should be nurtured, and that's how we've sort of designed the program. And this is just not about ideation, but we also push everyone in the 2 weeks to actually go to prototyping so that you have something tangible that you can test on the ground as well. So that's a little bit about a little context of how we started, and the impact so far that we've created with the program is that we've tackled about 12 SDGs in the last couple of years. There's an alumni base of over 700 people in 25 countries now. We started originally as an Indo-French program because French Embassy in India was our original partner for the program, and they wanted to create something which was designed for Indo-French exchange. So while we started as a Indo-French collaboration, over the years the program has actually become very global and now has spread over 25 countries in terms of the alumni of the program. There are over 100 plus solutions that we've developed as part of the program that are aligned to different SDGs. And we've associated with over 50 plus partners and organizations from developmental fields, from universities, from corporate organizations, to NGOs, to foundations, to all kinds of groups that have been part of the program to really add value to it. So that it's a rich heritage of a lot of things that we've had as part of this program. And we've hosted about 11 editions of this program in different formats. And this is going to be the 12th edition of the program that we will be hosting on the June 28th. So that's a little bit on the impact so far. And the methodology that we sort of focus is on a couple of things. We start with introduction to the SDGs, we get into design thinking, we also break down the problem statements, we also understand if these problem statements are right via assumption testing, we get into a lot of solution brainstorming. We also provide you with various skills as part of the Skill Bazaar workshops that a lot of technical and experiential folks come and do it. We also get into a lot of prototyping as part of the program. In the case of a virtual setting, we also do a lot of digital prototyping, and then we do host a final open house where advisory board comes in to give you feedback in terms of how you can take these things forward. It's not a competition that we are doing, it's a more collaborative effort. So we do give you ideas around how you can do things post the program via various things like post-program incubation, mentorship post the program, and how you can get access to more people in this space so that you can take your projects forward. So that's a little bit about the methodology, and this cuts across board in terms of solutions. We've worked across healthcare, education, energy, waste management, sanitation, and all kinds of things, because we feel that the power of collective intelligence is really important to solve community level problems. And the more the complex the world is becoming, we all have to get together to really solve it on a local level, but with inputs on a global context as well, so that we can all learn from each other. And there's some past solutions that I want to sort of take you through, but these are not just these solutions that we sort of focus on. There are all kinds of solutions, from policy to awareness building to hardware solutions to software solutions, all kinds of solutions that have come out of the program. So one that I want to sort of show it to you was something called, this was YAVO. This was something that one of the teams were presented at the UNESCO HQ in Paris in 2019, which was basically an insole developed for diabetic patients so that they could track a lot of their pressure points, because they start losing a lot of sensory organs in their feet, and how that could be tracked from a perspective of healthcare. So this was something that these guys did, very exciting solution. This is another one that we did for the differently abled community. This was around how do you sort of create something for paraplegic people to learn to paraglide and parasail from an adventure sports perspective. It went on to become a project later at Protospace in Airbus in Toulouse in France as well, and things like that. So they took it forward in terms of taking it forward. This is another one that I really like, which is focused around quality education, which is called Makudo. This was designed for underprivileged children to learn math. Basically, a lot of kids that are there at the government schools and things like that, they don't have a lot of retention span. So the team was actually mix of Indo, Egypt, and French students and folks who got together, and they developed something called. So this is something like a very frugally designed 8 that you put on a floor. And what happens is that if you jump on it, it gives you certain kinds of lights if you're doing the right thing. So if you say 2 + 2 is 4, and you jump on 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 things, so that you make a 4 on the board, it sort of lights up and it gives you like music and things like that, and sort of creates a really fun environment. So like dance revolution of sorts, but very frugally. These guys went on to sort of create their company, their social enterprise later, and started also working on sort of developing these 4 schools as part of, later on after the program as well. This was something that was designed as assistive tech for blind pianists. So because they have to generally memorize a lot of their, everything that they have to, play. So this was an assistive tech for their hands, so that they don't have to memorize, their things and things like that. This was another one again for paraplegic guitarists, which was a tool for them to sort of strum, even though if they didn't have an arm and things like that. This was featured across board in different parts of the world as well, at Guitar World and things like that. But that's just a little context of some of the solutions that have come, but there are many more different kinds of solutions that have also come as part of the program. And just to give you a quick, before I pass it on to Rosita, because in the benefit of the time, I just want to take you through the program timeline. So the application opened up in March. We still have the application process open, so you can still apply for the program. But given the second wave of COVID in India, we decided to extend the program deadline to the 25th of May. So there are a couple more days before you can apply for the program. The program commences in June of last week, and then we host the open house and advisory in July. We also have a post-program incubation period where we will be connecting you to our partners like UNDP Accelerator Labs, and a few others like UNESCO, who can offer you support and mentorship as part of the post-program incubation. And we will be showcasing a lot of these projects at UNESCO in Delhi, hopefully in December, fingers crossed. And that's how the program sort of cycle continues. This year, we also have some really interesting partners. While these are the larger partners that we've had over the years, just to give you a little bit of context into what kind of folks that we work with this year, really amazing. Actually, Rosita connected me to the World Economic Forum, and they're coming on board as partners as well this year, apart from all the lovely, amazing partners that we already have as part of the program. So that's going to add a lot of value in terms of the design, the problem statements they bring and things like that. So really excited about that. This is the executive steering committee. That's Eric. He's the regional director for UNESCO in New Delhi. That's Francois. He's the director of SCRI in Paris. Again, a very interdisciplinary research center. Navi is the author of Frugal Innovation and Jugaad. And Sandrine is the attaché for French Embassy now in Tokyo. And just to give you a quick context, this is how we've been doing the program even in the pandemic. So it's been really vibrant, very exciting, and just very amazing, so that we can look forward to something impactful that we can do together, because even though we're sitting at home, all of us can work with each other to really accelerate, work towards the SDGs. And so that's about it. But I'm going to pass on the floor to Rosita first. I want to introduce her. She's amazing. She's the head of solutions mapping at the UNDP Accelerator Labs in India. Rosita, I'm going to stop my screen share and pass you the screen. 1 second.
Sure.
All right. Could you try sharing your screen?
Yes, I can. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Richa. I think that was excellent. I really enjoyed your presentation, and very happy to be partnering with your team. And, just let me know if you can see my screen well, and then I'll just take you through a couple of slides and briefly speak about our partnership as well.
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Rosita.
Okay, great. So, thanks Richa and thanks Weber for really, powering up this Makers Asylum network. We really see it as a network because you're really inculcating and building the capacity and confidence of this new breed of thinkers and makers. And UNDP Accelerator Lab is very, very, happy to be partnering with you this year, starting from this year, and hoping that we can continue it as well. So just to give you a very brief context as to the folks who have joined us today, very warm welcome to you all. And just wanted to tell you a little bit about who we are and why we are partnering with the Makers Asylum. So we are the Accelerator Lab network. This network is part of the world's largest and fastest learning network around development challenges. So a couple of years back, around 2 years back in 2019 is when this network was launched globally. Thanks to our founding partners, Qatar Fund for Development and the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, Germany. The whole idea here was to look at UNDP's presence, leveraging our presence in the country offices that we are placed in several developing countries. And the idea was to really create this new unit called Accelerator Lab that really brings in the new methods and ways of doing things differently. So, as you are aware, UNDP is the development arm of the government. We have been involved in various programs related to climate change and disaster risk resilience. We have been working on plastic waste management increasingly now. We have been working on, health and governance systems, and also at inclusive growth in several countries of our presence, including India. The whole idea here is that, this network that is currently actually present in around, 114 countries at the moment through 90 labs. The idea is to really start experimenting. So everything that Richa was, speaking about, this whole philosophy about not only design thinking, but really, taking your ideas or, conceptual stage thoughts and really working on them with the help of others by partnering with, like-minded people, like-minded institutions is what we do at Accelerator Lab. So the whole idea is that, we are basically working by exploring, mapping, and experimenting. This is, again, a very new way of doing development within even, UNDP and UN organizations in general. The idea is to really apply strategic thinking. This is where the exploration role comes in. We identify opportunities. We actually scan the horizon to see what are people doing differently, what is working, what is not. Then we go into the mapping stage where it goes a little bit more deeper into scouting for innovative solutions. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to see what is already existing out there or has the potential to grow. And these kind of solutions can really come from anywhere. We are sector agnostic as well. So of course, we want to focus on, SDGs overall, because each SDG is actually connected to every other SDG. No SDG works in silos. And that's why we really look at private sector, public sector, increasingly at grassroots communities and civil society organizations, even farmers. We have found the best solutions in the agriculture space from farmers themselves, and really looking at how can we bring all these players together or look at the solutions and bring the whole ethos of grassroots innovation, frugal innovation at the center stage. Because we want to connect the policymakers to these, decisions and to these new solutions. So then the experimentation space comes in, where we actually highlight, these proof of concept stage solutions or prototypes, and we actually conduct quick experiments in partnership with these solution makers to see, to really, showcase that this is what is really working. This is what is we are not doing good, because we do kind of like really emphasize on safe to fail experiments or failures as well, because it's not always about the successes. We learn so much also from failures, and this feeds into the institutional learning. We are primarily focused on public sector innovations because we want to connect these new, or how we say, next gen solution providers to our government partners, because the government is constantly looking for solutions to the myriad amount of problems, and everybody is very well aware about the problems that exist. But increasingly there is this demand that is coming in, even from our government agencies, that we want solutions to X, Y, Z problems. So that is where our focus is. Just also want to clarify, because the term accelerator is a bit confusing. So we are not an out-and-out incubator. We do partner with incubators for sure. We do partner with, like, for instance, Atal Innovation Mission and their whole, Atal Incubation Centers and network of accelerators. We partner with research and academic universities and institutions that are hosting various solutions, and then we see how we work on them. Just to give you an idea how we innovate, for some inspiration, we are currently looking at problems of agriculture and the problems that actually exist in the space of air pollution, the underlying causes. So we are working on a Geo AI platform, which is mapping the hotspots of air pollution from space using artificial intelligence and remote sensing. And we have actually partnered with the Nottingham University to get this data that they have been really working on and bringing it back to our state pollution control boards. We are currently piloting in Bihar with the help of the Bihar State Pollution Control Board to see how can this technology really equip the regulators. So again, you will see the connection between innovation on one hand, and then those who are really looking for innovation and those who are our regulatory agencies who would really benefit from these solutions. Similarly, currently, we are also rolling out a very interesting blockchain interface platform for spices commodity. So really trying to see how can our farmers actually gain from technology in terms of looking at traceability and improving the quality of export of spices. Another interesting thing that we have done, which you can actually look up, is a grassroots innovation database called GRID that we had launched with the Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network. These are around 1,500 open source, grassroots innovations that have been mapped as per various areas like livelihoods, waste management, agriculture, biodiversity. And the whole idea is to give people more case studies or more examples and inspiration to play with. Coming to the fourth, highlight that we have, not everything is very serious and high tech. We also look at very interesting communication tools, like how can we use gamification? For instance, during the COVID time, during the first phase of lockdown last year, we came up with a game called Corona Champion to really, address this whole area of fake news and misinformation that was all around us. And we were using this tool to see how can we really, fight the misinformation and give a very nice tool so that the public knows what is myth and what is reality. Now, coming back, to the topic of today, and, like I said in the beginning, we are very happy to partner this year with the Makers Asylum team. And particularly, we are really looking at SDG number 12, which is on circular economy, which is speaking about responsible consumption and production. Now, the whole idea of this partnership is because of, two reasons primarily. One, because in UNDP India, we ourselves have this project, program called the Plastic Waste Management Program, where we have actually established 22 material recovery centers in 36 cities across India. We call them our Swachhata Kendras. And these have been established with the objective of really bringing in sustainable waste management practices, and to also include institutionalize our Safai Sathis, our waste pickers, whom we call our Safai Sathis. And this program has been successfully running in multiple cities in India, like I said. And last year, in fact, we have crossed the 35 million kg mark in terms of the plastic that was collected and processed through these centers. So there is this now new potential that we see in terms of what do we do increasingly with this plastic that is incoming. How can we give more livelihoods by looking at various interesting upcycling models? And how can we actually really look at these areas in terms of designing for repairability, which is circular design, looking at new business models such as subscription, lease, really looking at the whole role of fourth industrial revolution, technology, gig economy, and how can we leverage these tools for a more circular economy. And of course, circular economy is something to be described as simply as a sharing and caring economy, where materials and resources are actually circulated instead of, wasted. And the idea is to look at a regenerative economy instead of a wasteful economy. And this is the reason why we have really chosen this topic and this SDG for this year's SDG School from our partnership. And we are more than happy to actually see the possibilities, the infinite possibilities that the participants can actually come up with specific challenge statements that will be given out during the SDG School. And even after this SDG School concludes, after the 12-day bootcamp, in terms of the post-program incubation that Richa had mentioned, we would like to, kind of offer our, Swachhata Kendras as a way of a test beds, where these innovators or some of the chosen, ideas can actually come and implement and learn on the ground. And we can also benefit in terms of really learning from these innovators on what are the ways of doing things differently, what are the kind of new methods that we can bring in, can we think about some simple and smart solutions, and how can we really bring them to scale together. So if this is something of interest to you, please do apply to the Makers Asylum edition of SDG School. It starts from the last week of June, as Richa had mentioned about the timelines. And I would like to leave you with a personal inspiration of mine. On the picture, you will see a very simple terracotta pot. And this was personally my design thinking inspiration. This is actually sourced from Daily Dump, which is a Bangalore-based organization that really looks at how can composting solutions through terracotta. So by supporting the artisan and pottery community, how can we solve the waste problem of the growing organic waste that we have in our domestic, households. So this is something that inspired me almost a decade back and started my own innovation and design thinking journey. And I'm hoping that we can come up with, new solutions and equally inspiring solutions for the generations to come. So thanks very much. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Razira. That was awesome. And thank you so much for really taking us through what UNDP does. It's such amazing and inspiring work, and we're really excited to have you on board this year. I'm going to pass on the stage to JP. JP is the head of social and human sciences at UNESCO New Delhi. He's been part of UNESCO for the last almost a decade now, over different parts of the world. And he's been working with us at Makers Asylum for at least last 2 to 3 years now, I think. And we've been doing multiple projects, and SDG School is one of the major projects that we've been part of, that JP and all of his team at UNESCO, not only in India, but outside of India also really supports. So JP, please go ahead and give everyone a little introduction and how UNESCO is part of the SDG School, and why do you do this every year?
Thank you very much, Richa, and thank you also to Vaiva, Rosita, and all of the participants today. It's a pleasure to have a moment to talk to you about the collaboration between UNESCO and Makers Asylum, and particularly about this incredible program, the SDG School, that, as Richa was saying, we've been supporting for quite some time now. Let me begin by, of course, thanking Makers Asylum for these sessions that allow for young people to understand a little bit more what they would be getting into. And the question that you asked, Rosita and myself in your slide, Richa, was like, why should they join this? And I mean, after everything that you've explained and everything we've been discussing, I think the real question is, why shouldn't they join this? It's a bit difficult to respond also to the question on why UNESCO is supporting this, when after everything we've been seeing, it's kind of a natural answer. As the UN Specialized Agency for Education, Science, Culture, we have, as part of our mandate, supporting youth-led action. And just like Rosita was saying, also UNESCO cooperates as part of the UN family to support youth-led action that is not necessarily seeing youth as beneficiaries, but particularly believing in young people as partners that can bring about change and contribute to finding solutions to the issues faced by their community. So that is basically why supporting the SDG School and working with Makers Asylum in general is perfectly aligned with our mandate and what our member states have asked us to do. So in that sense, and supporting even more why this is a program that is supported by the UN, it's because, of course, it has a focus on the Sustainable Development Goals. Some of you may know about them. Richa already, of course, gave a little bit of general introduction and context. But through the SDG School, you will also be learning a little bit more about it, and you will be invited to connect a bit more with this agenda. In a nutshell, this is the biggest agenda in the history of humankind to achieve peace and sustainable development by 2030. And this is something that was the agreement of all members of the United Nations. All governments came together to agree on a path through 17 goals and 169 targets for achieving peace and sustainable development as the only way forward, because otherwise, if we don't achieve these objectives, our planet will not have sufficient resources for moving forward for generations to come. That is the main principle of sustainability, that we need to consume and to use the resources today, bearing in mind that we still need resources tomorrow. So this is the Agenda 2030, with also a very important principle of leaving no one behind, that Rosita was speaking about. Its indivisibility, that all SDGs contribute to the other, but also something that we believe is extremely important is the principle of leaving no one behind. Contributing to the 2030 agenda is also contributing to addressing the needs of those that are in a vulnerable situation or facing exceptional challenges because of their condition, their geography, their history, etc. So in this sense, you have seen also this impressive work that Makers Asylum has been doing to respond to the pandemic, for example, that is also in line with the spirit of the 2030 agenda and working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. What the pandemic has caused in a lot of countries is impressive. This is probably the largest disruption in the history of humankind to many sectors in terms of its size and its global impact. And by the way, I wanted to start by that, but I take the opportunity to say, for those connecting from parts of the world that are still struggling through the pandemic, I send you my best wishes, and I really hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe. Definitely the examples of these large-scale actions that Richa presented, that Maker Asylums and their partners and network across India have implemented to support the key issues of lack of availability of face shields, and then lack of availability of oxygen in the country through the first and second wave, is really commendable. And we have seen another big example of how youth action can really bring about change at the community level. And that brings me back to the SDGs. The SDGs, even if this was an important agreement by governments and let's say facilitated by the United Nations, this agenda is something that cannot be accomplished by governments only. Of course, they need to put together the institutional framework, the policies necessary for this. The UN will continue to provide its technical support to governments in this regard. And of course, we are there to advocate for the agenda and to help governments also to monitor its implementation and assess the needs to move it forward, etc. But something very important is that this also needs to be in the hands of societies, in the hands of communities, and particularly if we believe that the most powerful action that can happen at the community level is that led by young people, then if the 2030 agenda is really owned and it's put in the hands of young people to provide solutions to this type of problems and challenges that are faced in the local level, I think that this is the only one of the major drivers that can guarantee achieving the 2030 agenda. So in a nutshell, this is why UNESCO supports this. This is why UNESCO believes in youth-led action for the SDGs, and this is why UNESCO cherishes and and really values this partnership with Makers Asylum, that provides this type of platforms to all of you to ensure that you have the right tools, the right forums, and the right network to unleash your potential, basically, because this is what this is all about. You would learn a lot on how to bring about change in your communities and how to contribute to this very, very important agenda that is at the core of our progress and our survival as humanity. The pandemic has only exacerbated challenges that were there. And in that sense, our concrete contributions to this program is, as Richa was saying, in working together with this lens of assessing the needs and trying to get a thermometer of what's out there for the development of the problem statement. We also support with the outreach of trying to expand the reach of how many people will learn about this to ensure that we are having people engage from many countries and different areas of societies too. And you have seen also that our director for South Asia is part of the executive steering committee of the project, and this guarantees that we are working together to provide any support we can from UNESCO's perspective in terms of guidance, direction, technical assistance, and of course to listen to the evolution and needs of the project as it moves forward. So as you all have seen through Rosita and my presentation, this is a very strong program that has the support of the UN because of all of these reasons. And we are here to ensure that your potential is unleashed, and Richa, Vaibhav, and the Makers Asylum are committed to making this count and to providing access to you to all of these resources. The alumni network can only continue to grow and also provide opportunities to develop this action in your communities and beyond. So I will stop there and thank you very much for your attention and invite you to seriously consider joining this program, speaking about it, sharing it with everyone who would be interested in making a strong contribution to your communities, to your societies, and to bringing about change and building peace and sustainable development for you, for today, and for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JP. That was fantastic. We've run out of time, unfortunately. And what I'm going to do is that I'm available for questions if there are regular questions that anybody has. And this is really amazing. Thank you, Rosita. Thank you, JP, for really taking out the time and putting out your thoughts and just having both of you sort of be part of this session. We've done this session over the last 2 months, and over 200 people have already participated. And hopefully with this, I will be making this live on different channels, and hopefully we'll be able to get more and more participation. I think so far we've already have a really great level of participation for the program. So any one of you who are joining this today or listening to this anywhere across the world, please do apply, because I think the more people that come in, the more youth, the more interdisciplinary groups that come together, we'll be able to sort of really go beyond the crisis that we're all facing. And let's put all our all ourselves together to really make this happen, because together we can, and together we shall. And I think this is one of the really most positive thing that we've been looking forward to host every year, and really sort of brings in the kind of different kind of people that come together. And we are super excited that we're still able to do this virtually even in the pandemic, and that's amazing as well. So we'd love for all of you to apply and join and be part of the program. So I'm going to stop there and quickly take a couple of questions. Kapish, you want to ask something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you one thing, is that it's a very beautiful program that you guys are starting here. But I have been doing a lot of research in the sector of waste management for the past 6-7 years. But to actually get down and do something in the country is getting very difficult. Like, frankly, I had approached the municipalities, UNDP. They all ask you whether you have experience. This is something which is not done anywhere. We have 51 billion tons of carbon emissions happening. So, I mean, it's a new field. So
Right.
is there any way that we can get a chance to actually implement it? Because just talking about it is not going to solve the problem.
No, so absolutely, that's perfect.
Like, I have even developed my own software. We have some nanotechnology for the bins, so that we don't waste water cleaning the bins when we are doing the collection. So there's a lot of things that have, efforts that we have put into, making the right solution, and for India, because, everything is cost sensitive here.
Right.
So, and plus we have to pay the people right also. We can't just say we will run a waste management center and not pay people well. So we have to take care of the, income also. So can we get a chance to implement post this? If we are eligible, capable, you think there's potential?
Yeah, Kapish, as I was also talking and Rosita was also saying, UNDP Accelerators Labs agenda is absolutely the exact same thing that you're talking about, right? Because while, of course, the larger UNDP has various other things that they look at, but the Accelerator Lab is actually looking for your kind of solutions to actually implement on the ground, help you with the pilot and things like that. And their focus is pretty much on waste management, at least from the perspective of India Labs at the moment. So like I mentioned, that the PROS program incubation offers pilot opportunities to do this on the ground, implement it, and show results as well. So yes, to your answer, yes, that's possible. And actually, I will also let Rosita talk about it, maybe from her perspective. Rosita, you want to answer this question for
Yes.
Kapish? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Kapish. Thanks for joining today and for also raising that question. Completely understand also where your frustration is coming from in terms of, like really
it's
finding
not about the frustration, but, when you have done something, it should be implementable.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
last night, I was speaking to my uncle in New Jersey. He connected me to the local municipal commissioner there. He's an Indian. So they are having a lot of problem with the plastics nowadays, because the recycling rate is very less and China has stopped accepting. So, even he said, you come down, we will talk, we will see how we can give you. I told him I don't have experience because this is a new venture that I've started.
Sure.
So they are also saying, come, we will do something. And in India, where I'm staying, they say, ki, you get experience. If I get experience, then I'll go for a tender bidding. Now, why will I come to you?
So I think Rosita.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just, Kapish, if you allow me to just
Sure.
answer that. Yes. So completely, of course, I understand, where you're coming from. And that's why, this whole space has also been created, as Richa was saying. The Accelerator Lab did not exist 2 years back, right? There were definitely barriers of, bringing innovations in a fast way to the country office, to our country, through various pilots and programs. So, of course, if you participate through this, boot camp, through this journey, you're able to actually ideate, and we have specific challenge statements that we are coming in from, which are, of course, not textbook challenge statements, right? They are actually coming up from the need of the Swachhata Kendras and the project that we have. The project has a very specific mandate, right? It is more focused on, collection right now, and really looking up at how can we really give livelihoods to the waste pickers. So it is definitely focused there. So sometimes what happens is, there is always a mismatch. So they don't have a kind of like a space where, more people can come in. And that's why I think we recognize this. And the reason for partnering with Makers Asylum is exactly this. So during this journey, you will actually be, also exposed to a series of workshops, but as well as mentoring sessions, where there will be actively presence of certain UNDP colleagues directly associated with the project, speaking about the challenges they are facing in managing their centers. Specifically our colleagues from Mumbai and Hyderabad Center will be participating. And like Richa said, and I would like to assure you that, once, of course, you go through this journey and there is this interaction in space, of course, there will be an offering in terms of, can we test your solution? Can you show it to a scale of, working level prototype or proof of concept. So that is where I think what the term that you're using, experience, I would say something else. So I will not, box it in terms of experience or the number of years you have been. Is your solution really at that working level? Is it really checking those boxes that even the government stakeholders are looking for? Because these centers have been established with the municipal organizations. And of course, if your solution is at that level, for sure, you will be getting a test bed to kind of implement it. So this is something that we are, of course, offering as a fair chance, not only to you, but for anybody who's not even, that much experienced in waste management center or has not come up with a solution like you, will get an equal opportunity as well to go through the program, and maybe they come up with a very interesting idea and solution that we want to test. So just to answer that very quickly, the whole idea is exactly like this, to really go through those stages patiently to understand what steps are needed to build a solution that can then be taken to the test beds to kind of test not only through UNDP, right? Because what all can UNDP achieve alone, right? We do it along with the partners. We do it along with the municipal organizations, with startups, with grassroots organizations. So it will be a whole consortium. So if there are more opportunities, say, some other organization or some other center is looking for, we will be connecting. So we do want to bring in this very often underrated role of, facilitating and connecting between various opportunities that exist that might not be visible so easily. And that's what we are committed to through this specific partnership. Thank you.
Can I add something, Richard?
Yeah, please, JP, you can add.
Thank you. No, just because, this question is extremely relevant in the sense that he's talking about his specific challenge, but this is a challenge that is faced by young people all over the planet in most contexts, no? Like, you have an idea, you just came out of university or you're in your context, and the typical thing of you apply for something that it's entry level, but already requires experience. So this is a challenge that is faced by young people across the globe. So I just wanted to add to what Rosita rightly said, that this is precisely the spirit of what we are doing. This program, of course, it has a capacity building component, but of course, it's also trying to address that gap and to being the platform that you would need. In the end, decisions are made and this type of funding opportunities or opportunities to get incubated or accelerated, of course, they have a limit. Unfortunately, no one would have in the planet the capacity to accelerate or incubate every project that is out there. But so what young people try to do and what we support them to do in general, it's to try to have an added value and to have another layer of support to what they are doing. And this is the type of thing that this program provides. When someone will look and choose between someone who participated in this program with the support of all of these partners and someone who has not been in this type of let's say platform, then definitely that makes a difference. And this is also the spirit of why we support this and why we are here today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, JP. Thanks, Rosita. I think.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead, Ashish.
Yeah, as I told you, ours is a business incubator and accelerator based at Aurangabad, which is a Section 8 company, and we are promoting grassroots innovators as well as social entrepreneurs. I just wanted to quickly check how we can connect with Makers Asylum or UNDP Accelerator program.
So in terms of Makers Asylum, you can get in touch with me. I can drop my email address as well over here. So if you'd like to sort of have your startups participate as part of the program, or bring in some of their problem statements to the table, etc., we can definitely collaborate. And for Rosita and
yes, I'm just dropping the email ID of Accelerator Lab India just in the chat box, so anybody can reach out.
Yeah, so you can reach out to Rosita as well. Yeah, I will take a couple more questions on the floor if there is any before I call it an evening, because we've already we're a little late on time. Okay, Okay. Seems like no questions, and hopefully you can reach out to me. The application form and everything is available on www.makersasylum.com/SDG School. You can go apply. We have a couple more days before the application closes. We would really encourage all of you to really be part of the program and to add to all the really creative solutions that can come out of it. Really excited that all of you could join today. Thank you, JP. Thank you, Rosita, so much for being part of this.
Thanks, Richa.
And really adding value through all your presentation and all the work that you do. So thank you so much for joining. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.